morning, Wareham. It is Friday, October 4th, and we have a fantastic show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. This morning, prepare to laugh out loud from comedian Jesslyn Peters, who will be performing tomorrow at the New Bedford/Wareham Elks Club. Also, find out what did Debbie do or what she didn't do. Learn about WCTV app and learn how you are a beautiful blessing in addition to getting your news and events from editor from Wareham Week newspaper, Chloe Shufford. But for now, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques and Antique Shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay tuned because the weather and the news headlines are next. Intervals of clouds and sunshine today, high at 62 tonight. Expect some few clouds from time to time, lower 41. Tomorrow, mainly sunny, high at 59. At night, mostly clear skies, lower 41. And Sunday, cloudy skies, high at 68. Mostly cloudy skies at night with lower 62. So basically, there is no sunshine. That's bad because tomorrow we have the Food Truck Festival, our first in Wareham. But clouds never hurt anybody. Anyhow, and now to the news. There were plenty of news stories over the week. Coming up are the news headlines. All right, we're going to start with Wareham Week. We're going to start with the Board of Selectmen who have voted to continue to delegate hiring authority for everything other than department heads. Department heads, including the chief of police or the superintendent of Wareham Public Schools, are brought before the Board of Selectmen for approval, while Town Administrator Derek Sullivan has the right to employ non-department heads such as a clerk or bookkeepers. And the new Onset Bathhouse will not have a cupola following an outpouring of outrage from Onset residents. The two-story bathhouse, which is being rebuilt and expanded by the Buzzards Bay Coalition, currently sports a mock-up of a cupola. When the residents saw the work in progress, many residents complained that it would obscure the view of the bay from the bluffs. Mark Rasmussen, who is the director of the Buzzards Bay Coalition, explained that the cupola was designed to bring more sunlight into the meeting rooms and classrooms. Kat Jones, the executive director of the Onset Bay Association and a board member of the Buzzards Bay Coalition, said that she also heard many people who were opposing the cupola, but thinks that the vast majority of people are fans of the overall project. Rasmussen said the coalition hopes to finish construction and open the constructed bathhouse with a full slate of programming in the spring. And they're actually looking to hire a director and staff this fall. So in case you're looking for another job. Anyhow, now the Historic Commission has approved Mass Audubon's requests to demolish most of the buildings that made up the former Sacred Hearts Retreat Center. This happened on Wednesday night meeting. Mass Audubon will be keeping the chapel, the corridor that connects the chapel to the manor house, and the garage, along with the piers that support the bathhouse. The decision is a cost preventative measure. And that's all for this morning's news. We are going to take a brief break, and when we come back, your news and events will be digested live instead of me sitting here and read. So, Okay, I cannot say my favorite Russian is in the studio, but Chloe, what's your background?
Just a big
Irish?
mix of everything. Yeah, English, I guess.
America's melting pot.
Yes.
Okay, is in the studio this morning to digest the week's news and events. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to talk about everything relates to the school, to our schools. They voted for a name for the new upcoming school, MCAS, and whatever went on last night. Let's start with the MCAS.
Right. So MCAS results got back, I guess, about a week ago. And so there were the big change, I guess, in how students took the test this year was that 10th graders took some of the next generation tests for the first time, which are on the computer as opposed to on paper. And so overall, the results were kind of mixed. You know, there were some grades that did really well and some that were struggling a little bit. But overall, Wareham kids are still a little bit behind the state scores, you know, the average, how the students are doing across the state. But except for 6th grade in English, they beat the state average, so that was exciting. But the, you know, school officials, Dr. Schwam, who's the assistant superintendent, was speaking at the last night's meeting because the superintendent wasn't able to attend. But she was saying that they're overall pretty happy, and she was really emphasizing that, you know, how students do on a test that they take on one day isn't necessarily the best measure of how much they're learning overall. And she also was looking a lot at the growth numbers, which show, like, how did this student do last year, and are they improving on their scores this year? And she said those were pretty strong across grades.
So they were assessing each student separately to see if they have been growing or declining. Now, there are a few things that have changed. We were talking about the gradation that has been mixed up because of closing one school. There's also the fact that I believe either last year or 2 years ago, the state changed the exams, so supposedly these are rigorous exams compared to the past. And there's also the issue of now people are taking it on computers instead of paper. So there are few things that the students are experiencing for the first time. Did Dr. Shom talk about if the students were given the opportunity of, do you prefer paper or versus computer, and how they helped them prepare to transfer or to take an exam on a computer?
So I think that you have to take it on the computer, is my understanding. Although I would bet that there may be some, you know, you can get like an accommodation if you have I don't know. I'm guessing, which I shouldn't do. But they talked about, so they have to sort of change, because some of the standards, like what they're testing, have changed also. But they were saying that one of the, you know, that taking a test on a computer is kind of hard, especially for little kids. You know, it's harder to type than write for a lot of kids. So that's sort of an additional added challenge in addition to the test being harder than the previous tests were.
Okay. So did they get a chance to talk to their classes, to their kids, to see what went wrong, what went right, how they felt, or are they planning to do something like that in the future?
Like talk to the students?
Yeah, to the students.
I would assume that teachers did that. It wasn't brought up at the meeting.
Okay. So overall, are they happy? Are they lukewarm? How are they feeling?
I think they're feeling fairly happy, not overjoyed maybe, but pretty happy. Except at the middle school, they were really, really pleased. I guess the results there were really strong. So that's exciting.
Now, the history of MCAS in Wareham has always been this way.
Well, it's been pretty tough in the past. So this is something that's exciting, is that up until, I think, 3 years ago, the schools were always getting flagged as needing intervention from the state because scores were too low. And this is the 3rd year in a row that no one in the district has needed assistance. So that's exciting. That shows that there's real progress.
That's very amazing. And this in 3 years, it comes right in time when Dr. Sham has come in, because she got hired very recently too. So this progress or this victory can relate to what she's doing.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, okay. Look at her. She went home happy. So very good. So, okay. Then we have the new school, Minot Forest, that's going to also house Deacon's. They're going to demolish both eventually. So the new school, they've decided to call it Wareham Elementary.
Right. So that's sort of contested at the moment. So something that's a little funny about this is that it's unclear who has the ability or the authority to name the school. The school committee and the school building committee, which is headed by Jeff Sweat, who's a former school committee member, say that they can name the school, but the selectmen and town council think that it's up to town meeting members to name the school, or town meeting voters, excuse me. And so the selectmen and town council are saying that it's already been named the Deacon's School at Minot Forest, whereas Wareham school committee members want to name it the Wareham Elementary School. And then there's also been, so Cindy Parola, who's a real estate agent in town, I believe. She's a descendant of the Deacon's family, and she was saying that she's pretty upset that they're not wanting to name it the Deacon's School because she feels like that's sort of erasing her family's contributions to the schools over the years. So there's a little bit of controversy there too.
But it's interesting that though the outside name is going to say Wareham Elementary, they are suggesting to include all these past schools inside the school. So the argument of erasing one's name really doesn't stand valid. And how about Minot? Do we know who Minot is?
Yes, there was also the Minot family, which donated that land, and I think donated the, all of Minot Forest, all of that land. And one of the, I believe it was Principal Chandler, spoke to a representative of the family. But so it's a little bit tricky there. And so what the school committee decided to do was they held a vote on to name the school Wareham Elementary School, which actually didn't pass because someone voted no. I have to find out who voted no because I couldn't tell. But they also put in a town meeting article to rename the school Wareham Elementary School. So they're trying to the idea was to kind of cover their bases. But since that vote failed, I don't really know what the next step is for them internally.
Why is this a controversial topic?
I'm not sure. It seems like the kind of thing that there would be a clear answer to, but apparently there isn't. I don't know. So the chairman of the school committee, Mike Flaherty, has been working hard to try and get some confirmation of where that authority is delineated in the town charter or in bylaws or somewhere else.
Okay. So the school committee is leaning towards Wareham Elementary, and who wants Deacon's at Minot?
The select board, town council, and at least Cindy Parola.
They want Deacon's at Minot.
Yes.
What about the Oak Grove and so forth? Are they going to stash them inside?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll see how this is going to end up.
It's interesting.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the school is funded by everybody's taxpayers. Yes, the Deacon's of Minot, they have donated more than the rest of us. However, at the end of the day, the school, I believe, should include everybody's contributions in it. All right, so what were they discussing yesterday that took until 10:30?
Yeah, so last night, well, the other interesting thing, which we didn't talk about beforehand, but there was also a presentation by the school's nurses who are arguing that they're pretty overburdened and don't really have support. So if they take a day off, they have to find their own substitute, and there aren't that many substitute nurses. So they were sort of arguing for a part-time or permanent floater person who could take over or help out on busy days. So they're talking about that, and then they also were going through MCAS results in a lot of detail, which was, time consuming.
What are some of the details that they revealed yesterday that they didn't reveal last time?
Well, it was more going through, grade level by grade level. What were these, different scores, looking at them as broken down into different categories, looking at growth scores. And then also talking a little bit about what changes they're going to make.
Okay.
So in terms of working more on word problems, because that was something that I believe it was the kids at Minot were having trouble with word problems. So they're really thinking about how do we get our kids stronger on word problems in math.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Very nice. So they were a little busy.
It was a busy day.
The issue about nurses, though, I spoke to Melissa Fay. She's the director of student services, I believe. And she did mention that in our interview regarding they don't have substitutes. Now, they are going to say they don't have the funding to put in a substitute.
Yeah.
So then what are these nurses supposed to do? It's almost they made a presentation, then for what? Like, thank you for coming. Thank you for saying this, but we can't help you.
Yeah, well, so...
Did they give them any hope?
Well, Mike Flaherty was noting that that they're going to start working on the next budget pretty soon. So I think that probably that's something they'll keep in mind when they're making the budget. And they're also trying to figure out, so like, what does someone need to have in order to be a substitute school nurse? Like, they need to be an RN, they need to have been, Corey checked and fingerprinted, I think, and all that kind of stuff. But then they were saying that there's also, if they could get like a paraprofessional or someone else to help with just the filing, because they have a lot of filing kind of work, and they do a lot of routine tests of kids, like for BMI and hearing and vision, and also for scoliosis. So they just have a lot of paperwork and stuff that takes up a lot of their time in addition to caring for kids.
All right, very nice. So at least they gave them a little bit of hope. So tell me what you're going to be busy doing this weekend.
It's a busy weekend, yeah. Okay. So tomorrow, as you mentioned, is the Wareham Food Truck Festival, which is from, I think, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that's going to be by the fire station on Main Street. That's exciting because it's a collaboration between the Wareham Village Association and the Onset Village Association, or Onset Bay Association, excuse me. And then there's also going to be a fundraiser for a police dog. I don't remember the times exactly. I think it's like 3 to 10 at Trevor's and Onset, which is to help cover the medical costs for a retired police dog.
Oh, okay. That's going to be interesting to see how many people turned out for that.
Yeah.
Because they're just like another police officer. They put their lives on the line, really.
Yeah.
And they, okay. That's interesting. So are you working on Sunday at all?
On Sunday, I don't think there's anything going on.
Take care of yourself. Close the doors. Shut your phone.
I won't be
working.
working.
You won't be working. Good.
No.
Nobody's writing papers. What's her name? Nadia's not working Sunday either.
Right.
Okay, so we're not going to be reading any papers on Sunday. We'll be back. We'll resume reading on Monday.
Yes, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so much, Queen.
So that was the editor of Wareham Weekly newspaper, Chloe Shelford, in the studio to talk about, we'll talk about school, to talk about the Wareham schools, their MCAS scores. We talked about the name change that supposedly was voted in and then taken out. We do not know what's about to happen. And the nurses complaining that they cannot they cannot have a day off even if they're sick because they do not have a substitute. And also some interesting events that are going to take place this weekend. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue with our normal programming. She is not your average Debbie. And unlike her sister, Debbie Downer, this Debbie is a Debbie doer. Hence the big question, what did Debbie do? The business, what did Debbie do? I mean, there's possibility.
Yep.
A plethora of questions.
We get asked that every time, all the art shows. What did Debbie do? And they're standing right in front of the tent, and I'm like, it's a way to cut the ice and get people talking and laughing, and then of course they're going to come in, you know, and look around, and you never know what's going to happen.
An enthusiast for bright colors, Debbie is the artist behind these loud, extravagant, and emotive artworks. From murals, painted furniture, to jewelry, what didn't Debbie do? Now, your pieces are very colorful.
Yes.
The one behind me, it's blue and purple, gold.
Yep.
Very, very colorful, very bright. But when I saw it, it was almost like seeing a spirit, free.
Yes. And that's how I feel when I paint.
Okay.
Yes. I do my artwork, and I'm in my own world. I shut the door. I open the window, put the fan on, because you're working with alcohol, so you got to have a little bit of ventilation. And I start making colors, and I start making that picture, and that's all that's in my mind right there. I'm just creating.
She professionally started working as a full-time artist 3 years ago. However, her love for art is hereditary.
Ever since I was little, I would sit and sketch and paint, and I did the whole Bob Ross thing, and I did the landscape. Like I said, I did a number of different things to see, what do I like?
So I get your message. You want people to feel happy, and it's very important, especially, I do not want to just pinpoint to day and age, but with stress, whatever people are going through, it's always important to have a place, something to remind you that there is a brighter day. But what do you feel is your obligation as an artist?
Oh, good question. My obligation, I think, is I want to make people happy. I want to bring color into their lives. I think I see people get happy. It makes me happy, and then I just go on from there. It's like my drug. You know, it really. I don't do drugs, but
This
when
is
I
your
see
drug.
people, this
This
is
is
my
your
drug,
vice.
and to see people happy, it fulfills me. So, you know, I guess that's what it is.
Do you always use white canvases, or you also play with others?
So that's a good question too, because I do like the white. I love the negative space. I think it creates it makes your eyes move around the whole painting, so you get the full effect.
Now, for those who would come to your art shows, would see a beautiful piece, and they would say to themselves, geez, it's gorgeous, but I bet I can get a painting in Walmart, whatever, cheaper. How do you defend your price, your art?
So no one's actually ever said that to me before, but if they do, I say, you know, go right ahead. Anyone could go in and buy that piece of art, but what does it mean to you? It's not going to have the same emotional background of when you go to that art show and you meet the artist and you talk to the artist and you get a piece from that artist, and it's a personal piece that, whether it's commissioned or not, it means something. It always reminds you of that day that you saw it and said, oh, that's beautiful. So I think it has more background than walking into a Walmart or a Home Goods and going, yeah, I like that, let's get it and bring it home.
Forever and ever till the end of time. Oh, why don't you take me to the moon?
For more answers to what did Debbie do, please visit debbiedidit.com.
Walk up to you, do 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 you.
So as you were able to grasp from that video, what did Debbie do? That's her business. And she, do you get that? What did Debbie do? That's her business. She makes paintings using alcohol. Anyhow, we're going to move on to our another featured program of the day, and that is Beautiful Blessings, dolls that inspire you to be more than what you are.
We have to look at the world as it is. It is diverse. It is multicultural. And you want to empower all of those cultures. I don't think anybody should feel negligent or left out because of them not being of a particular race. I think that mindset needs to be discouraged.
Every person is a beautiful blessing, and that message could not come so clearly than from my guest, the guest of honor, Miss Raven James, the creator of the Beautiful Blessings dolls. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
So let's talk a little bit about your dolls. Your dolls, they may look like just a doll, but they carry a very powerful message.
Yes.
They are a movement
Yes.
by themselves. So tell me about Beautiful Blessings, and especially about the name, where it comes from.
Okay, so Beautiful Blessings is a unique doll collection that empowers girls and women. And I got the message to say, call them Beautiful Blessings, because that's what you are. That's what women and girls are. They're beautiful blessings. So that's where that name came from.
So what made you say, listen, I want to start, not only I want to purchase a doll, I want to make my own?
Well, I'll talk about that. So growing up as a kid, I played with dolls all the time. I had all kinds of dolls. But my mother struggled finding black dolls. As I started buying dolls for kids and girls and my nieces and nephews, I still had a problem with the lack of diversity that was represented in the toy stores. And I was like, okay, this is the same stuff that was from 40, 50 years ago. And we still struggle with that. And I'm an adult woman, and I think that's crazy in this day and age with as diverse as cultures that we have in the United States and all over the world, that dolls need to represent every little girl. Every little girl should be able to see herself on the shelf.
Okay, so you are able to give little girls a chance to see themselves in the shelf. But also, these dolls
Adult
are for
women.
women. So what do they see? Or why should they purchase these dolls?
So each doll, the motivational message, I think, is what caters to the adult woman. Some women carry trauma, childhood issues into their adulthood. And because the women are who they are, the way they're shaped, the way they're built, what they edify, I think that's why adult women like them as well. It's with the names, and then who wouldn't like being called a beautiful blessing?
The step towards the empowerment, self-realization, putting an accurate value on yourself is a long journey. Purchasing this doll seemed like one of the steps. When they purchase it, how do they continue on from there? Do you offer any words of advice?
Yes, well, I would say, so as you purchase a doll, and as you purchase, if you purchase most of the dolls in the collection, every doll has its own distinctive message. So those different collector's items, and actually they're mirror cards, those different mirror cards, and my goal is that they look at that mirror card and look at the mirror and look themselves in the mirror and speak that message to themselves, tell them who they are.
So I'm sure you're helping a lot of young women and older women, but how have these dolls helped you?
Just the fact of the message, even the message has helped me. Sometimes, I'm creating the dolls, it's a reinforcement as to who I am as a woman. And even in this world where there's no one representing, there's not a lot of me in this space. So that can sometimes give you a different mindset. So as I design and create these dolls for other women, just the fact of doing that also inspires me as well.
So for those who are watching this interview and they say, oh my goodness, I want the doll, how do they get in touch with you?
You can go to my website, www.iamabeautifulblessing.com. And, if you Google Beautiful Blessings, you'll see a lot of different, Beautiful Blessings dolls. You'll see a lot of information come up, but you can go to the website and there's even a contact form there to contact me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this interview. You have heard from Ms. Ravine how to contact her if you feel that one of these dolls could be the accurate representation of you or your young one. And have a pleasant day. Bye. Hello, and thank you for joining us this morning for Good Morning Wareham. We're broadcasting live from a WCTV studio at 505 Main Street. And this is your source for local news, weather, traffic, and more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. On this day in space history, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik. 1957, Sputnik was the world's first artificial satellite that was able to circle the globe in about an hour and a half. The satellite was able to transmit radio signals so that people with the proper equipment could hear it beep as it orbited past you. Sputnik would last in orbit for a few months until January 1958, when it burned up in the atmosphere. The United States would launch their first satellite explorer on January 31st, 1958. Also today in monument history, work began to create Mount Rushmore in 1927. The sculpture was four American heroes, featured four American heroes: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt, and resides in Black Hills National Forest in South Dakota. It would take 12 years for the monument to be completed. The Crazy Horse Memorial is another monument in that same forest in South Dakota, created in honor of Native American history. The monument is actually the world's largest mount sculpture. Also today in genetic history, a man by the name of Michael Morton was freed from prison in 2011 after being incorrectly accused of murdering his wife. Michael had spent 25 years in jail until his defense team asked for a DNA test of some blood found on a bandana near the crime scene. The real killer was then found and sentenced to life in prison. For today's birthday, shout out goes to actor Charlton Heston, born in 1923 in Illinois. Heston starred in some of Hollywood's biggest movies, in the middle 20th century, including Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments, and The Planet of the Apes. And that's all for this morning history segment. To learn more cool historical facts, you can go online at thehistory.com. The coffee segment is next, but first, let's take a look at the Fairhaven girls versus Wareham soccer.
How you doing? This is Taylor Dozier for WCTV. I'm speaking with the head coach for the girls soccer team in Wareham. First question I'm going to ask here is, what was the game plan coming into this game here?
Our game plan was to break down there. They play 4 high on defense, and we were hoping to get some through balls and crosses and, get on the board early. We play a lot better when we score early, and realize that, we have some offensive momentum, but that didn't exactly happen today.
And when you guys came into the second half, you guys played a lot more aggressive. Everyone realized it, especially the defense on the other end. They seemed to have trouble with you. Mm-hmm. What was the message at halftime?
There's a lot, but it's nothing new. I think it's something that this team has heard. We don't have a very deep bench. We play with 3 subs, and as you noticed, Fairhaven they would sub 4 and 5 at a time, which is hard to keep up with. But that's nothing new. This is something that the team's been dealing with all season. But I think they know they.
Okay, I apologize about that. The video did not play in fully. Let's take a look at the WCTV app.
Today's cell phones are not only an extension of our arms, but a life tool. Hello, I am Maureen Farrington from Advantage Custom Apps. I am here today to talk about a certain app, a tool that will help you navigate your way through the Wareham community. The WCTV app places your local community in the palm of your hand. The app is a place where you will find local events, town meetings, local and school sports, community interest stories, compelling interviews, and most of all, the ability to shop local. Connect to the Wareham app by going to your web browser and typing in wctv.app. And then, once you bring up the web link, you have the opportunity of adding WCTV's app to your home screen. Once you download the app and save it to your home screen, you will then have the opportunity to, with the touch of a finger, hit the call button, which we call WCTV, the refer us button. You can refer the app to your friends and families. There's a Facebook share button if you'd like to put that on your Facebook page as well. And here is the menu tab. On the menu tab, we have YouTube videos, new program proposal, events that WCTV is hosting, a photo gallery, contact button, and can lead you right to their website. We also have a shop local tab. When you touch on that, you'll see the local businesses that you can frequent. Also, there's an About Us tab telling you some information about WCTV, their hours and directions. This here will take you right to their Facebook page. There is a donate button if you would like to donate to WCTV, and a join button that will let you join their community. Many local establishments are listing their business on the WCTV app. And you can too. It's a great way to showcase your business to your existing customers and your potential new ones. For a nominal fee, you could list your business on the Shop Local tab as well. A percentage of that fee goes to fund a scholarship for an outgoing senior. So be in the now and get the WCTV app on your home screen.
So for our coffee segment, we are going to replay my interview with Jesselyn Peters, a comedian who's going to be performing tomorrow at the New Bedford/Wareham Elks Club. Take a look. Comedian who just recently discovered that she will be performing on Saturday. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being here. How did that call went?
I work for Paperback Comedy with AJ Haypenny and Edouard, and we put on a lot of shows. And so about 2 months ago, he asked me if I would run it because he's now officiating a lot of weddings, which I'm sure you've probably heard. So he may be running late, so I'd like manage the door or like do the lights, you know, whatever needs to be done. And then just yesterday, he was just like, "Oh, so you're going to be performing?" And I was like, all right, okay, I am. All right, cool, sure. You can do a tight 5, right?" I'm like, yeah, of course.
What is a tight 5?
Tight 5 minutes?
Tight 5 minutes?
Yeah, like very tight. Like, you know, tight in the bosom,
In the
buttocks, and then just like fit yourself into a tight dress because there are a lot of men performing at this one.
So you need to stick out.
They need a nice set to look at. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
We do actually have Sarah Martin as hosting, so at least
Sarah's hosting. Yeah.
I love her.
I had her
so amazing.
2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks ago. She was here.
Oh yeah, she is so like just real.
She's
and
dark
raw.
humor.
Yeah,
It's like takes you a second. It's like, am I laugh? Should I laugh? like you know, like it's funny. I know it's painful, but should I?
I love it, but it's like it's dark humor, but it's also like
It's
I don't
what it
really
is.
care. You want to laugh? Go for
Go
it.
for
And
it.
I think it makes it funnier. Like, you know.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So what's your gig like? What's your persona?
I've been performing for about 4 years now and still just trying to figure that out. I still feel like I'm kind of a baby in that. I did learn like 2 things when I took free stand-up comedy courses, and that's the amount that you'll learn when they're free. It's just 2 things, you know. And one of them was just basically that there are 2 different types of comedians in this world. There are joke tellers and there are storytellers. So I feel like I'm more of a storyteller, but because of that, I'm trying to find the jokes, you know, like the small ones. The problem is I'll like come up with something, write it down, and then wake up in anxiety and be like, someone's used that joke. Someone has used that joke, right? And then I'll call as many comedians that I know.
Really?
Yeah, like, or I'll text them to be like, has anybody talked about, you know, conceiving on a pull-out couch? Because that just seems ironic to me.
This is ironic to me.
Yeah.
Damn. So, but wouldn't it be easier for your first time on the stage to have a persona ready, like that's you? Wouldn't that be easier that way, to introduce a character already, or to hide behind a character?
funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually putting something in the works.
Okay.
But it might be like Andy Kaufman, Tony Clifton sort of thing. Does that ring it? Do you know what that means?
No. How are they? Like.
Andy Kaufman was, if you ever saw Man on the Moon.
Yes.
Right? And Tony Clifton was his persona.
Okay.
Was just a big asshole. But so like, sorry, am I not allowed to?
I think we have a disclaimer somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
We did warn our
he was a
viewers
jerk.
today. We are having
He
you.
was a jerk.
So you are going to have your eccentric side of you on the
Yeah.
stage, right?
Yeah. But
It's almost like that. The state dinners, the press dinners, where
like press conference sort of.
this was a few years ago when Barack Obama was still president, and then they had a comedian who
Oh, they always have a comedian.
presented his persona. Let's say if he wasn't so
Colbert?
presidential. No, there's certain. God, I feel bad. Kill and somebody. These two gentlemen.
Kill and Peele.
Kill and Peele. Yeah. So one of them was Barack Obama's persona of like that gangster kind. Like if he wasn't so presidential.
Right.
You know,
right, yeah.
saying one thing to the.
But that's more of me being myself and then having a different persona.
Okay.
I think I want this character to be a drag queen.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I don't know how to do drag makeup, so I'm working on it. If there's any good drag makeup artists out there that would love to help me out, I'm like, this is the only time I put makeup on.
Yeah, because you're going to be on TV.
Yeah, or just standing up in front of people. I'm like, I guess I should look good for you. That's kind of a nice thing to do, right?
So how did you get into this? 4 years ago, what happened?
Do you want me to be honest?
Sure.
It was just it was a low point in my life.
Point,
yeah.
okay.
But I've done acting and theater ever since I was 8 years old. And as that, I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy since I was 16. Actually, the first time I ever got a little taste of stand-up was when I was 14 at my youth group's spaghetti dinner for raising money for the youth group so that we could like put on a Christmas party for the homeless.
Yeah.
And it was my brother and I that memorized Alvin and Costello's Who's on First, What's on Second, I don't know, third base. And that laughter just fell in love with it. But then I just could never get myself to write my own.
Yeah.
To write your own is really tough.
Can't you, for those who are storytellers, can't you make your life funny? Or it's not tragic enough?
I mean, well, that's the thing is that that's the thing that actually helps me as therapy-wise.
Okay.
Whenever I'm like, oh, I hate this person, or I want to claw someone, I'm like, how is this funny? How is this funny? I need to like reprogram my brain and try and find the laughter in this, so that I'm not going crazy.
Yeah.
But it is a sense of me going a little crazy anyway.
So as a woman, I mean, normally you hear guys talking about their exes and so forth. Do you talk about your exes? Are you married? You're married, right? I saw a wedding dress on Facebook. You're not married?
Where did you see a wedding
On
dress?
your Facebook page.
Oh my goodness.
You had a mic and you had a white dress on.
I'm like, am I already posting what I want my wedding dress to be like? Wink, wink. Like, did I do that one drunken night? I hope not.
I was telling Bob, I said, I bet she performed to her own wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you're performing at somebody's wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My sister's wedding, I was the
Then,
maid of honor, and I did a great performance there.
A great performance?
Yeah, she was a bad heckler as a bride.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is my turn to speak. You already did your vows. You had enough time today. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, do you talk about your exes? Do you go there? Who is immune from the stage?
Well, if you were with me, and you know that I'm a comedian, that makes guys like a little scared, you know.
Yeah.
But my current boyfriend now, he's like, whatever. This is what she loves. This is what she does. Like, if I don't get in an act, I might feel offended because we hang out all the time.
Yeah.
So I did just write a new act that I think I might perform. That's all about him.
It's all about
Saturday. That's my type 5.
That's
That
your
is-
type 5. It's all
yeah.
about him. So how do you prepare for a type 5?
A lot of practice.
Okay.
It's a lot of recording yourself.
All right.
You know, and just I'll like record my performances at every venue that I do, and then I run and I listen to them.
You started running. You said it then this morning. You're like, you woke up so early.
Oh yeah, I just started to. I'm starting that in October. You know, like
Right.
I don't like running in the summer.
Oh, you getting
I don't
ahead
like-
of the
I don't like
New Year's
eating.
resolution movement?
Well, I like to run in the fall and the winter and the spring. I don't run in the summer.
It's so hot.
I don't like to eat the air. I don't like to.
I don't like holding hands. I normally feel like in the summer it's the toughest time to be a couple.
Yeah.
Hugging
Yeah,
and
you're like,
holding
"Don't touch
hands.
me."
It's just so hot.
And you're like, all you have to do is hug, and you're like,
I know. The perfect time to date
Yeah.
is like in the winter or fall. Because you need that extra heat. You're like,
Yes,
yes, I'm going to hug
right,
you.
Exactly. That's why I think that the fall is like cuffing season.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, cool, we party in the summer. I don't know if I want you or you. You can all stay away.
Yeah.
But then September comes and you're like, I gotta lay in this one
Yeah.
down. It is gonna get cold soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you started running. So you're going to continue on until next summer, then you're done.
Yeah, and my father is a runner, and yeah, he ran the Boston Marathon, and he loves to run in the summer. So he always finds a road race that he's like, let's make this a Father's Day present, and then I feel really guilty,
How
and
is
I
that
have
a
to.
present?
I mean, he just made. I mean, my sister is a runner, my brother's a runner, so he makes us all do it. And I lose all the time. But I ran, you know, I finished, so that's fine. It's cool, yeah.
So now people would also make fun of themselves.
Oh, that's what you gotta do.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about like appearances. People will nitpick themselves.
Okay, so sometimes I play a Jewish woman on stage.
Are you Jewish?
Disclaimer, not Jewish.
And how
But-
do you get away with that?
It's the hair, the nose, and then people don't ask. You know, like you can just fake it till you make it.
So
right?
you play a Jewish woman, but do you make fun of Jewish people?
Well, I make fun of myself
As a
as a Jewish woman.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's fun about you as a Jewish woman?
I don't know. Can we go with saying like vagina? Is that? Because it gets very personal. There's certain things I can't really say here. I'm not.
I'm sure
you
we're
know,
gonna have to put a disclaimer for the 6
I mean,
o'clock
yeah,
slot.
it's only $20 for the show.
It's only 20
So,
bucks for
like,
the show.
and the show that I do at the Red Nun is free, so that's like
You perform
even-
there for free?
yeah. We have a free show twice a month. Thursday.
Damn.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, well, it's free to the audience. I get paid.
Are you-
But, like, you know, that's what you get for,
Oh.
yeah, bringing in people.
Very nice.
I know.
So who are the people, what else about you that you like you pinpoint in order to make yourself vulnerable to the audience?
Just talking about, I think, like, I want to say maybe like sexual experiences that you wouldn't think would.
You had a lot of awkward moments?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't funny when they were happening.
Yeah.
And like I'm sure like they just like
I mean,
They were
right
paid
then
for.
when you just said that, I'm like, there are so many things that I have not talked about. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I got my notebook to write it down. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still old school. I have a notebook and people are like, will use their phone. But that's the thing. You get an idea, you jot it down. My new recent thing is that I'm making parodies of songs.
Okay, yeah.
So I have a parody of a song
Which one?
to the tune of Who Will Save Your Soul by Jewel.
I'm not familiar with the song.
Who will save your soul?
Is it a religious
If you
song?
won't save your own. It's from like the early 90s.
Oh, okay.
So I changed the lyrics to Who will shave your hole if you won't shave your own? And then I have 3 verses. Solid. With a music backup. Yeah. Currently working on another one by Celine Dion. You familiar with Celine Dion?
Okay.
It's because you loved me, right?
Yeah.
That's also early
Oh,
90s
yes,
too.
yes, yeah.
But this one is because you fed me. You know,
That's why I stayed with you.
yeah.
Because
You gave me pizza when I wanted fruit.
Oh my God.
Said you would never fit into that suit. Yeah, like that. That's just a clip. That's a
You
little
have
one.
a great voice.
Thanks so much.
Maybe, that could be your whole thing. You could just take songs and just
Well, yeah, I mean, like the drag queen. Drag queens love to like sing, perform songs too. And they're just funny with their expressions. But
that's a sport of its own.
yeah,
Drag queens.
yeah. Oh my goodness, and I love them all.
I usually say if my boyfriend falls in love with a drag queen, there's no competition. I would just let that go. I can't compete.
I know.
I just can't compete.
So stunning.
How do you
like better eyelashes, like makeup?
Some of them
like,
are gorgeous.
Oh, so on point.
They have the fast metabolism, so they look fine with the fake hips, fake
know.
butt, fake bosoms. I call it a day.
Yeah, and that's why the idea that this woman, the persona that I'm created that has a voice, she thinks that drag queens are actually what real women look like because she was raised differently by drag queens.
Nice.
So she doesn't understand that drag queens are really men.
Men.
And that's where the act stems from.
Okay.
So I have like an act for it. I just really need to dress up to play the part. So
you're gonna play a drag queen, a woman playing a man playing a woman, or
correct.
Holy shit!
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna put some padding in. Like, remember, I did theater, so like I will dress up.
You're gonna be you gotta look at men looking like a woman.
Oh, and when I'm at the show, like if I'm walking around, I am totally the character the whole night.
Nice.
Like that'll be exciting. I wanna.
So whom do you look up to in this industry that you said, one day I want to be like that?
I think I take a little bit from like each and every one. Like after I do a show, I like to watch like a new comedian. Like Dave Chappelle just came out with a new
I haven't
segment.
watched it. I heard it's amazing.
It's so funny because he's political, but it's not intense political.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's the way that they get away with it. And then Bill Burr just came out with a new one, and he's just so angry. He loves ranting, and I like to take that because sometimes you get frustrated, sometimes you get angry, right? And then like, how can you rant and make it funny? Like, how can you just...
That's what you want to do, rant and make it funny.
I mean, that's just a little thing I take from him.
Yeah.
Like Amy Schumer talking about her
I've never
banging
grasped,
people. Like, that was when I was like, I've had sex before. I could talk about this.
Yeah.
That might be fun,
Okay, so if anything, they open a door for you, or what things, or how far you can push that kind of thing. Well, South Park should be inspiring. Should have inspired people a long time ago. I mean, really, they went places where we could not even imagine.
Oh my God, yeah, Matt and Trey, like
I mean,
they
it was
are
Starvin
just...
Marvin, and it is so true.
Or just like them creating Book of Mormon too, like the ideas coming out of those men's head. They write their show every week, and it's them two and their lawyer in the room, and then they just spitball back and forth. Like sometimes that's all you need, and basically they come up with the episode where there was Tom Cruise trapped in the closet. They just kept going back and forth, and the lawyer's like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, what if he was literally in the closet? And that's when he's like, okay, I'll go call some people.
So I see that we have to end the show, but I thank you so much for being in the studio.
Well, thank you so much. Lines we've crossed, right?
So my guest was Jesseline Peters in the
correct.
studio talking about, well, we got to know her as a comedian. She'll be performing this Saturday at the Elks, Wareham, New Bedford Elks. The show starts at 8 p.m. Doors are open at 7 p.m. She's also going to be selling tickets. This concludes our morning show. If you missed us, the program will re-air this evening at 6 p.m. We'll also go on YouTube, Wareham Community Television on YouTube. And with that, thank you, Wareham, for joining me this morning for another episode of Good Morning Wareham. If you missed us, this show will be rebroadcasted this evening at 6 p.m. Will also be put on the Wareham Community Television on YouTube. We'll be back on Monday with more. I just want to remind you there are great events happening this weekend, one of them being the Wareham Food Truck Festival. That's the first one hosted by the Wareham Village Association. That's tomorrow from 11 to 4. It's free for you. Come and enjoy it with your family. Free music, food vendors, and other things as well. So with that, Wareham, have a lovely weekend and see you on Monday.